Hey, welcome everybody to the Jim Masters Show, entertainment, lifestyle, celebrity talk show series. I'm your host, Jim Masters. It's a real pleasure to have you here. Thanks for tuning in literally from all around the world. We appreciate all the love and support of our entertainment, lifestyle, celebrity talk show series. We've got guests that come in from all around the world: Broadway, Hollywood, television, film, music, stage, sports, comedy, culinary arts, and so much more. Lots of legends come through JMS as well, including a rock and roll music legend who's joining us, Tommy James, of course, of Tommy James and the Shondells. He is joining us, and we're so excited. We're going to have some great conversations. We're going to talk about his riveting book, his new music as well, and lots more that's coming up. Very excited to have him here on the show. Matter of fact, Tommy and I, we met back when he came through PBS for some incredible specials and concert performances. And we had an opportunity back then to really have some amazing moments in the studio. Matter of fact, I got a chance on behalf of public television to welcome him at some of the meets and greets and also on stage, which was really terrific. There's one of the shots there when he came through PBS for his concert specials. And again, it's been multiple times I've had the luxury and opportunity to meet Tommy and also interview him on PBS television across America. He's a great guy. If you ever wonder, sometimes you wonder, the people that you admire and revere, are they as cool and friendly and warm and funny as you think? Tommy is the real deal. And that's why so many people, millions of fans around the world, absolutely love him and they love his music. Truly a legend. We thank you for joining us. If you want to comment during the show, you can. Right here in our JMS Levity Hall chat room. Yeah, we say the show has a lot of light, love, levity. And one time I said it too fast. I said the word levity. From that point forward, it was incredible. So many people just fell in love with the word. So our levity squad, the viewers are watching around the world right now, and we thank them and we thank you for being with us. Let me tell you about our illustrious guest. We're going to dive right in because we have so much to get to. And we really appreciate him. He's so busy right now. We appreciate him taking time to join us here on the show. I mean, just think about all the songs, over 100 million albums sold and counting. Crystal Blue, Persuasion, Crimson Clover, Mony, I Think We're Alone Now, Hanky Panky, Draggin the Line, Sweet Cherry Wine, Mirage, Three Times in Love, just a few of the many hits. 23 gold singles, 9 platinum albums. As I mentioned, over 100 million records sold worldwide, 32 Billboard Hot 100 chart hits. BMI has lauded Tommy for his success with the presentation of a 5 million air award for his songs being played more than 21 million times on air. Numerous artists around the world have covered and continue to cover Tommy's incredible hits. Names like Billy Idol has, and Joan Jett, Prince did, Bruce Springsteen as well, Carlos Santana, Billy Joe Armstrong, Kelly Clarkson, Cher, Dolly Parton, Tom Jones, and even the Boston Pops. But it's extraordinary. His music is featured in over 75 films, 55 TV shows, and numerous commercials as well. The prestigious New Jersey Hall of Fame inducted Tommy with the award presented to him by his friend Steven Van Zandt. His life-size hologram can be viewed at the New Jersey Hall of Fame exhibit at Newark Airport, Terminal C. Tommy's image is also displayed along with many other celebrities at many of the rest areas of the Garden State Parkway in New Jersey. He's been a resident of New Jersey for over 35 years. He also received the Pittsburgh Legend Award. The Jukebox Artist of the Year Award was inducted recently into the Las Vegas Entertainers Hall of Fame. And his critically acclaimed autobiography, Me, the Mob, and the Music, listed on Rolling Stone's top 25 music memoirs. It's in pre-production for a film with producer Barbara DeFina, also, whose credits include Goodfellas, Casino, Cape Fear, Age of Innocence, Silence, and The Grifters. She also produced Michael Jackson's Bad Video, the screenplay by Matthew Stone, whose credits include Intolerable Cruelty and Big Trouble. Tommy is also enjoying success with his own show on Sirius XM Radio, Getting Together with Tommy James, Channel 73. 60s Gold, Sundays, 5 to 8 Eastern. And after 10 years, a new album was released entitled Alive. 2 tracks hitting the Billboard AC chart, and now a new compilation album, Rock Party, recently released. He's in his 51st year of music, which is incredible. Continues to tour the United States. He's available, of course, to follow on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and more. His website is TommyJames.com. That is just the short list, folks. I mean, it's really incredible. He truly is an American treasure. There are the songs that you know, of course, Crimson and Clover, Crystal Blue, Persuasion, Mony and Mony. Really unbelievable. And I had a chance, they sent me his memoir. It is a page turner, folks. It really is riveting and it's incredible. I'm sure many of you super fans are seeing these images here. Of course, Mirage and so much more. There is the book. You got to get this, folks. Again, I have it here. I've got my copy. They generously sent this to me. It is really, he's open, he's real, he's authentic. And again, of course, we'll talk about the Shondells, legendary group. His, as I said, his music has been in some of your favorite movies over the years as well. Austin Powers and Moneyball. Yep. Even Forrest Gump. And some of your favorite television series as well. Boston Legal, which was on ABC, and Criminal Minds, of course, on CBS as well. And even season 5 of Breaking Bad, Crystal Blue Persuasion was featured in that, which is incredible. And as I mentioned, we had an opportunity initially at PBS to meet and to chat. Had an opportunity to interview him as well. There is the recent album, Alive, and also there is the Rock Party compilation, which just came out last year as well, which is really, really cool. I'm really excited about that. And if you don't have it, you got to pick up your copy. Again, as I mentioned, he is still out performing and he's still touring. He still loves every minute of what he's doing. And he still knocks it out the park with his audiences. He's really, again, truly an American institution. He is absolutely a legendary musician and singer and songwriter. He's an American treasure. And it is our opportunity to chat with him here. Here he is, of course, with the legendary Shondells, which he founded with the guys. And really, his story is extraordinary. Originally from Michigan. As I said, he makes his home in New Jersey. And he is just somebody who, again, has influenced so many other artists over the years as well. And again, if you know somebody that's sort of up and coming, somebody that's considering going into the music industry, he is somebody who really inspires people to do that. As I mentioned, he's on Sirius XM satellite radio as well. You can catch his shows. And be sure, if you hear that he comes to town, make sure you get your tickets, because when you do, you are in for an extraordinary evening of fantastic music. Again, lots of memory making, yeah, but on top of that, also a lot of incredible music that I think is also encouraging younger generations too. Younger generations are really experiencing Tommy James' phenomenal sound and his incredible songwriting. And they're loving the music, because a lot of times what goes around comes around. So the music becomes fresh and new for younger generations. And then generations who grew up with the music, well, they have an opportunity to relive the sounds and relive all the great music as well. As I mentioned, he is joining us here on the show. And when I had an opportunity to first meet him, I was co-hosting and he came to the PBS studio, and it was one of those great concert specials. And I tell you, it was one of those times when the phones were ringing, people were supporting public television, and it was off the hook. The phones just literally rang off the hook. People could not get enough of the special. And Tommy was in the studio and he was even answering phones, talking to some of the viewers. They absolutely loved it. And again, he's a regular guy. He's real. He's authentic, super talented. And then he did the meets and greets, as well, where you get a chance to meet the artists. In this case, he was circulating across the room. People were so excited. They lined up to say hi to him. And then, of course, knocked it out of the park on stage. He's been doing this again for well over 51 years, which is so hard to believe. I know many of you who grew up with him, you're probably saying 51 years. How'd that happen? It happens. If you, again, I want to show you too, before we have him come on, I've got the music that they sent me as well, of the newer stuff, and this is alive, and this is really, really amazing. You want to make sure you pick this up. The book is available, of course, at Amazon. We'll show you that again in just a second. Just want to show you some of the incredible material here. This is Tommy James and the Shondells, 40 years. This is really incredible set of all the music. You want to pick this up as well. And also, I feel like I am on public television right now. Rock Party. This is the most recent, and this is a compilation of incredible material. Many, many years of incredible songs are on this, and this is also available as well. And as I mentioned, in addition to all of these incredible CDs, which we've been listening to over and over again in our house, is the book. You're going to want to pick this up. This is unbelievable. It's really, really fantastic. A lot of music history and Americana is in this book. Available again at Amazon and more. So that is just a little of the Tommy James story. And we are so excited to welcome him to our show. And we're going to do that right here and right now. Tommy, welcome to the Jim Masters Show, my friend. It's a real honor and a pleasure to have you here.
Well, thank you so much, Jim. It's great to talk with you. Great to see you again, too.
You as well. I tell you, you and I were comparing notes to when we chatted last, and you were so gracious when you came, which I know you believe in doing. You support so many incredible things that you believe in. You came to the public television studios. This was at the studio. You also did the meets and greets. You put on incredible shows, but everybody in the studio, we had so much fun with you, and the phone lines were off the hook. They didn't have enough people in the studio to handle all the calls that were coming in support of your music, which was extraordinary. So it was really a lot of fun the couple of times we got a chance to converse at the studio. And I'm so honored that you took the time to join us here on the Jim Masters Show, my friend.
Well, it certainly is my pleasure. And it's, as I said, really good to see you again. We had a great time last time.
It's really amazing, Tommy. I don't know if it's a good moisturizer or maybe the water that we're drinking or something along those lines, but I would say you and I look exactly the same as we did then. I think it's just being positive.
You got a mustache.
Yeah, a little bit of a growth here. Yeah, a little bit of a pandemic growth here. Exactly. But looking good, my friend. We're going to talk about all the incredible things. Congratulations on everything since we chatted last. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you've really been.
Thank you so much.
You're still touring, you're still doing your thing, but this all started for you. Go back and rewind a little bit. Like age 4, you got a ukulele, I think, from your grandfather, and then the rest is history. Tell us about those early beginnings and inspirations in your life, Tommy, that really turned you on to music and to the arts.
Well, as you said, I got a ukulele when I was 4 years old, and then I played that for several years, and I could sing to it and everything. Right from the beginning, I guess I knew what I wanted to do. And then when I was 9 years old, I saw Elvis on the Ed Sullivan Show, and the ukulele went out the window. So I begged for a guitar, and my folks bought me a guitar, and I learned how to play. And a year later, I started playing the electric guitar, and pretty soon I could play that too. And when I was 13 years old, I started my first group, and we started for the the seventh grade variety show, and I was amazed. The audience stood up, and I was quite amazed by that. And we kept the band together and started playing, and that was the forerunner of the Shondells. And I was in my hometown, Niles, Michigan, a little town in southern Michigan, and so I started playing live. I started playing. Actually making money from playing in my band when I was 13. And we kept the band together, and I played all through junior high and high school. I had a job in a local record shop and was able to not only learn the music and a lot of the record business, retail end of the record business, the trade papers and the record labels and who was writing songs and publishing music. And I sort of learned the information on 45s that most kids were learning on baseball cards.
Right.
So the bottom line was that I was able to promote my band out of the record shop. And as a result of working in the record shop, I got 2 little label deals in southern Michigan. And the second label deal was with a little outfit called Snap Records, and a local disc jockey was the producer and the owner of the label. And one of the 4 songs that I did for him was Hanky Panky, which became my first hit record. And so we recorded Hanky Panky and released it back in 1964, and kind of came and went because we had no distribution. And in 65, I graduated from high school, and I took my band on the road, and we got an agent in Chicago, and we played clubs throughout the Midwest. And right in the middle of my 2 weeks up in a little town in Wisconsin, the club owner got shut down and for not paying his taxes. So that's how the good Lord works, because we got sent back home. And as a result, I got the call 2 days later that changed my life. I got a call from a local distributor in Pittsburgh telling me that Hanky Panky, this record that I had recorded 2 years earlier, was sitting at #1 in the city of Pittsburgh. And I couldn't believe it. And he told me the whole story, that they had bootlegged the record and sold 80,000 copies of it. And
in 10 days.
Yeah. And we were sitting at #1. So they asked if I would come to Pittsburgh and do some TV and radio. And so I did. And the original producer of Hanky Panky, who owned the label, drove me to Pittsburgh. And sure enough, outside the city limits, I'm nobody. But as soon as I crossed the city limits, I got the #1 record. So it was really amazing. And from that point on, things got really nuts. This is the spring of 1966. And so while I was in Pittsburgh, I got my first manager, and I picked up a local group playing locally to be the new Shondells. And a week later, we're in New York City trying to sell the master to a major label. So I'm sorry to be so long-winded about this.
This is fantastic. We love this.
Well, I wanted to bring you up to speed on Hanky Panky. So
you're an amazing storyteller. Yeah, I love it.
Well, thank you. So we go to New York, and I hook up with a couple of agents there, and we make the rounds to all the record labels. And we got a yes from everybody. I mean, we got, because Pittsburgh was a major market. And so we got a yes from Columbia. We got a yes from Epic, RCA, Atlantic, even Kama Sutra Records. And so I was flipped out. I couldn't believe it. And the last place we took the record to was Roulette Records. And, you know, it was an independent label. So I was much more excited about being on Columbia. And so I went to sleep that night feeling like we were just on cloud nine. And the next morning, about 10 o'clock, we start getting calls from all the labels that had said yes the day before. Now we're saying, listen, Tom, we got to pass. I'm so sorry, but we got to pass. And finally, Jerry Wexler up at Atlantic told us the truth that Morris Levy, the head of Roulette Records, had called all of the other labels and backed them down, scared them to death. He basically used his best gangster voice and said, "This is my record. Back off." And they did.
That'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we were apparently going to be on Roulette. And that's actually what happened. Of course, Morris Levy was indeed a gangster. And Roulette was hooked up with the Genovese crime family. And we didn't know that. We didn't know any of that when we signed with the label. And of course, that's the theme of our book. But anyway, that's how Hanky Panky started. And then Roulette Records took Hanky Panky to #1 in the nation and #1 all over the world, and was one of the biggest records of the summer of '66. So that started our career. So again, sorry to be so long-winded, but that's
Not
how
at all. No, and that promptly followed. You followed Hanky Panky with 2 more million-selling singles, Say I Am, What I Am, and It's Only Love. And the Hanky Panky album went gold just 4 weeks after its release, right?
Right. And so that summer was really an amazing summer for us because it launched our career and began everything. So all I can say is God bless the crooks.
I know sometimes there was money, of course, and you mentioned it in the book, and the book really is a page turner. It's riveting. I know it came out, 2010. It's still so many people want it who don't have it, and they've read it multiple times, and I've read it, 3 times back to back, and some money just went missing and things of that nature actually happened to you as you're out singing and earning and doing. You didn't necessarily get all of it, huh?
Well, our book, Me, the Mob, and the Music, is essentially an autobiography with about 3/4 of it devoted to this very crazy and scary relationship with Roulette Records. And of course, the reason it's scary is because Roulette, in addition to being a functioning record label, was also a front for the Genovese crime family in New York. And of course, we didn't know this as when we signed, and we learned all this incrementally. And it makes for a great story. Rock and roll and the mob together, you can't beat it. But unfortunately, it's true. And so we were really, having to learn things that we didn't really want to learn and we couldn't talk about. And these guys, we'd meet somebody in Morris Levy's office, and a week later we'd see him on TV, doing the perp walk, in handcuffs. And we'd say, "Isn't that the guy we just met up at Morris's office?" And of course it was. And this sort of thing kept happening. And so we incrementally, in installments, learned who we were rubbing shoulders with. The guys would come up and hang out at Roulette like it was a social club.
Yeah.
And so anyway, there was lots of stuff to talk about there, and that's the gist of our book.
What was it like for you, Tommy, in those early days when people were really taking to your songs, to the sound, to the music? I mean, we talk about these accomplishments early on. That had to be such an extraordinary and cool feeling that, they were playing it on the radio. People were buying the music, wanting more of the sound and of you. Early on, as you're just coming out of the gate, that must have been really extraordinary, because it doesn't always happen that way for everybody, but they really took to the sound and your music.
Well, we were very fortunate because, first of all, radio really loved us, and I'm so thankful for that. We were a creation of radio. Some acts make it because they're a great concert act. Others make it because they're good songwriters and singers. We made it because radio played us so much, and I was so I'm so grateful for that, because the audience, then the fans stayed with us year after year after year, and we were allowed, because of radio, to morph into whatever we could become. We went through several styles, starting as a garage band, and then as a pop act, and then changing our styles with Crimson and Clover and Crystal Blue and more sophisticated stuff. And honestly, radio to this day still, it still keeps our music alive. And I never in a million years thought in 1966, with a little fluky record like Hanky Panky, that we'd be doing this in 2023. It just blows my mind that we're still able. I look out at our concert crowd now, I see literally 3 generations of people. It's almost like a religious experience.
Yes, it is. Right.
It's really quite amazing.
What do you think it is? What do you think it is about the sound, about, you're in the thick of it. You're doing this over 50 plus years. What is it about the music that really resonates with people? They can't get enough of it. It makes you feel good. It brings you back. There's, like I said earlier, generations of people who are even younger who are discovering it now and saying, wow, I really love this stuff. So it's really crossing generations in an incredible way. What do you think it is, or what have people over the years expressed to you, Tommy, about the music that keeps them coming back for more? They want to hear, new stuff. They want to hear, the original. It's just feel good stuff. What is it from your perspective as the creator?
I just think there's a lot of good energy around the music. It was stuff that was on radio constantly, so people know the words and they know the songs. And there was so many of them. We did over 110. We did about 110 million records on Roulette. And so I guess what I'm saying is that there's a lot of good energy around the music from a lot of different directions. I feel that way, for example, about the Four Seasons and the Beach Boys and the Beatles and so many other acts. Just great feelings about the music and great energy with the music. That's all I can really say. That's what rock and roll is all about. And
yes,
I'm very, very thankful for that. I thank the good Lord and the fans constantly for the kind of longevity we've had. I mean that sincerely.
Oh, I know you do. And I mentioned when you were at the television studio and those specials were airing on public television, the phones were literally on fire. And you so gracious with everybody in the studio and picking up the phone and talking to people calling in and all. And even at meets and greets, you're always so accessible. And that's what people love about you, because you're the real deal. You're authentic. There's no ego about you. And it's just, you're doing it for the love of the music and sharing it with millions of people around the world, fully cognizant truly of how much the music means to them and all the special moments in their lives that have happened with your music surrounding them like a soundtrack of their lives, right?
Well, these are the people who put food on my table and a roof over my head for 56 years now, and I'm just as grateful as I can be. I mean, and when I get a chance to mix it up with the fans when we tour, it's a wonderful feeling because it's sort of like an extended family. I mean, that's really the truth. After a certain number of years, that's what it feels like.
Your family getting a chance to see the success, a lot of times that doesn't necessarily always happen. They know how hard you've worked and all the years put in. What was that like, early on as the success was rising and things were really starting to cook for you guys? That must have been great, going back home to Michigan and the family expressing their joy and pride in what you guys were doing.
Well, it was, and it was great to go back to my little hometown and feel the love coming from the people. My classmates, the people that I grew up with. It was really an amazing, wonderful feeling, and I still to this day go back to my hometown. I have a house back there in Michigan, and of course here in New Jersey as well. But I mean, I love going back and just hanging out with people that I haven't seen in so many years, classmates and people that I love. It's really a wonderful feeling, and as I said, the fans have become very much like an extended family over the years. Yeah. And I'm really very grateful for that.
I mentioned, the hits, and with those three initially under your belt, you brought in producers Bo Gentry and Richie Cordell, and you guys produced 7 back-to-back smash singles. I Think We're Alone Now, which I've heard covered multiple times by so many people. Mirage, I Like the Way, Getting Together, Out of the Blue, Get Out Now, and the party rock rave up Morning Mony. And you guys, the team, also produced 3 platinum albums. Tell us about that.
Well, again, I was so fortunate to have radio on our side. We didn't really have any stiffs during that period of time. I began with, with I Think We're Alone Now. We started a new production team, Bo Gentry and Richie Cordell, as you said, and Jimmy Wisner, who came on and sort of was our George Martin, did arranging and helped us with the production. We moved to Allegro Studios in Manhattan, started with I Think We're Alone Now. Bo and Richie came to me with this amazing little song that was, when it was first presented to me, it was a ballad. And but they banged it out on a piano. And Bo and Richie, incidentally, were 2 staff writers and producers from Kama Sutra Records that I brought over to Roulette. And they played this thing for me. And you heard when it got to the hook, I Think We're Alone Now, you knew it was a smash record. And so we took it into the studio, and we changed the tempo, and I was playing guitar on the record, and that's where we came up with the 8th notes, the doom 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 doom.
Yeah.
And that all worked, and Bo sang on the demo, and we took it back to Morris, and the funny part about Morris is that he had great ears. He could hear hits. So, but anyway, we played it for him, and he flipped over I Think We're Alone Now. And so we went in and recorded it Christmas Eve day, 1966. And of course, what a Christmas present that was. It stayed on the charts for roughly 6 months. And it was just an amazing little record for us, and really started us down another path, style-wise and in the studio. And then, of course, came the follow-up, Mirage, which incidentally was the chord progression to I Think We're Alone Now backwards. That's a true story.
Yes.
That's a true story. We actually had we were listening to the final mix of "I Think We're Alone Now," and we're over at Bo's apartment in New York, and but it was on a 7.5-inch tape, and when you get the tape on upside down, it plays backwards, and we accidentally got it on upside down, and we listened to it. Everybody was smoking something. I don't know what we were smoking, but it added to the whole flavor.
But it added to the entire scenario. Yeah,
it did. So we listened to "I Think We're Alone Now" backwards, and we go, that's not a bad chord progression. And Bo Gentry and Richie Cordell went off and wrote it. "I Think We're Alone Now" backwards, and it was Mirage. It ended up being our next single. That's a true story. And
that's incredible.
So Bo and Richie we were banging out the hits for a couple of years, and then I started producing the group, and we began with Mony, and Mony was really a throwback to the early '60s, sort of like the old Mitch Ryder records and or Gary U.S. Bonds. Party rock is what you'd call it, and I loved party rock because it always put people on the dance floor. So I love to play it. I love to play stuff like that. So we started putting this little track together that became Mony, and it actually took us several weeks because we'd try this and when that didn't work, we'd try that. And so we came up with the lyrics. We had it all together. And the night before I was supposed to go in and do the vocal, we had no working title. We had no title to the song. We had all the lyrics and everything. We needed a 2-syllable girl's name to make the thing make sense. And we're looking for like a Sloopy or a Boney Maroney or something.
Right.
And everything we came up with sounded so dumb. So we're at my apartment in Midtown Manhattan, and Richie and I were writing this, and we threw our guitars down in disgust and walked out on my terrace and lit up a cigarette, and we're just looking out, and all of a sudden our eyes fall on the Mutual of New York Insurance Company, Mony, with the $sign in the middle of the O, and it gave you the time and the weather, and it would go Mony, Mony. And we just cracked up, and we both saw it at the same, and we both knew immediately we were looking at the title. And that's one of those stories that sounds like a press agent made it up. It's the truth. And I've often said that if we'd have been looking in the other direction, we were so desperate for a title, we might have called it Hotel Taft, or it could have been Equitable. We could have, I don't know what it would have been, but
Manufacturer's Hanover.
Yeah, right. And that became the title. So that's how that happened, and that's a true story.
I was going to say in '68, you became one of the first artists to experiment with music videos. We're talking about 1968, and you created the mini film around Mony for theatrical showings 13 years before MTV even hit the airwaves.
Yeah, well, it's true. And I always thought it made perfect sense to do a film of your hit record. And then get them played on TV or wherever. To me, that always made a lot of sense. But we did this. We did the video. It was really very caveman-like. I mean, it was very amateurish. But we did a video of Mony, and the only place we couldn't get it played on American TV. The only place we could get it played was in between double features like a cartoon in European movie theaters. That was it. So it was me and Daffy Duck for a long time. And but that's true. And we couldn't get it played. But later on, years later, they started playing it on MTV and VH1.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So all I can say is we were a little ahead of our time on that one.
And like I said,
The
you
next,
were
the next record, bud.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. And after spending 3 months on the road that year with Vice President Hubert Humphrey, the first time a rock artist had been asked to campaign for a presidential candidate, you took over the creative reins of your career by writing and producing the groundbreaking Crimson and Clover single and album. And Humphrey wrote the CNC album, Liner Notes, and Another First. That's incredible. Tell us about that, huh?
Well, basically, when we left we got a call from Hubert Humphrey's office, the vice president, who was running for president. And well, the bottom line was that we watched the convention. The convention of 1968 was violent. It was crazy and scary. And, demonstrators were getting beat up in the streets of Chicago, and even reporters were getting beat up by the cops. It was really an amazing moment in our history. And so we're watching all this. The Shondells and I, we were up at my apartment in New York watching all this. And Hubert Humphrey isn't brought out to accept the nomination until like 2 a.m. It was really a very bizarre night. And all of a sudden we get a call from, from Roulette Records the next day that Humphrey's office had called us and asked if we would participate in some of the rallies that he was going to be starting in West Virginia, and asked for us if we would open the show. And so, yeah, okay, it was a great honor. So we did that, and we started with him, and we played a short set, and he would come on and give a speech. And it worked so well, he asked us if we would continue for the whole campaign, and then I would sit up on the DS with Muriel Humphrey, several dignitaries, and he would kind of show us off that he was a hip guy, Right. So it worked. And so we said yes, we would do the rest of the campaign, and we played with him all over the United States, and we became great friends. I mean, he asked me at one point to be if he wanted to be president's advisor on youth affairs.
Wow.
And I was 21 years old. And I think I said something to him like, I'd love to. And believe me, the youth of America are having affairs, and I'm just the boy to look into it. So basically, he told us how he was going to end the Vietnam War with a national referendum. He told us, all kinds. We got into talking about UFOs and all kinds of stuff. And it was really an amazing moment. And finally, of course, he lost. We were there with him the night of the election, and he lost by this much. Yeah. And so it was a very historic evening. And we stayed friends. And so, but when we left, this ties right into the music business, because when we left on the campaign in August, the big acts on the radio, of course, were the Rascals, Mitch Ryder, the Association. Oh God, I'm leaving a bunch of people up, but I mean, a lot of great acts, but they were all singles acts. And it was basically AM radio.
Right.
90 days later, when we got back, it was all albums. It was Blood, Sweat, and Tears, Led Zeppelin, Crosby, Stills, and Nash, Neil Young, Joe Cocker. And the whole industry had turned upside down. And it was all albums. And FM radio had also come into its own. Right. FM radio had never played rock and roll before. They had only played, classic and classical and
Beautiful, beautiful
jazz.
music, and yeah.
Yeah. So everything had changed, and we were so lucky to be working on a little thing called Crimson and Clover right then, because there was this mass extinction of singles acts. So many careers ended right there, and so we were working on Crimson and Clover, and it ended up being the biggest record we ever had. We did 5.5 million copies right then, and it gave us the second half of our career. Suddenly, we're selling albums. Suddenly, we're on FM radio, and this continued throughout our career. Then we were allowed. I don't think there's any record we ever made that would have allowed us to make that jump from AM top 40 singles to FM progressive album rock in one shot like that. And then, as you said, Hubert Humphrey then wrote the liner notes to the album. That had never happened before.
No.
And we stayed friends until he passed away in 78. And it was a real moment. And of course, as I said, that gave us the second half of our career. And we followed that up with Sweet Cherry Wine and Crystal Blue Persuasion. And there was, it just changed everything. So
yeah.
I was very grateful for Crimson and Clover. It was next to our first hit record. It was the most important record we ever had.
And extraordinary because people today still turn to those songs, and they have stood the test of time in so many profound ways, which I think is such an extraordinary and rare, like you say, thing to have happen. And multi-platinum we're talking about, and it spawned, like you said, that then spawned Crystal Blue Persuasion, Do Something to Me, and the fourth song from the LP, Sugar on Sunday, rose high on the charts in a cover version by The Click, huh?
Yeah, it was our first major hit done by another act of our music. And they beat us to it. We were going to release it as a single, and they beat us to it. And I'm still friendly with those guys today.
Yeah.
Click out of Texas. They're good guys, and had a big hit record with them.
You also followed up the Crimson Clover album with Cellophane Symphony, which featured the newly developed Moog synthesizer. So that was like a sound that was coming on, in terms of in society realizing the sound and hearing those sounds for the first time. And that was included yet another top 10 single, of course, as you mentioned, Sweet Cherry Wine. But how did you feel about, introducing that unique sound of that Moog synthesizer into the music?
Well, first of all, it happened by accident. We were Allegro Studios. Our normal studio was being was shut down for upgrading. They upgraded the studio to 24 track, and so we found another studio down the street called Broadway Sound, and it was right on Broadway. And we went up and checked out the studio, and we walk in and we see this gigantic thing. It looked like a switchboard from the 1920s, number please. It was just this gigantic keyboard with all the jack plugs, with the RCA jack plugs, looked like the old telephone wires.
With Lily Tomlin answering.
Right. So, we looked at it and said, what the hell is that? And they told us. And you know who owned it? Whitey Ford from the New York Yankees. I'm not kidding.
Wow.
Whitey Ford.
Yeah.
And so I'm imagining, there's Whitey Ford on the mound pitching the ninth inning with, thinking up synth riffs.
Yeah.
thinking of
Right.
synthesizer riffs. So anyway, he owned it, and he owned half the studio. So we settled in and we started playing with this thing. And it was amazing what it could do, from everything from drums to wind to any sound you can imagine. It was the first analog synthesizer. And it was just an amazing little device. And so we basically did an album around it and did several tracks with the synthesizer. And we called it the album Cellophane Symphony. I'm thinking of, plastic music, Cellophane Symphony. So, that was, the album came out. Of course, everybody up at Roulette wondered, what kind of dope we were smoking. They thought there was something terribly wrong with it. And so at any rate, it wasn't until the middle 70s that the album really took off. It was, probably 6, 7 years later that the album took off, and it broke out of Cleveland, believe it or not. And we started selling Cellophane Symphony again, and it became a platinum album for us. And so I was very, very happy about that. And it was a big move. So that's how that happened.
On a roll too. Not only did your total sales of the 4 1969 hits top those of the Beatles that year, your second volume of greatest hits, The Best of Tommy James and the Shondells, featuring Ball of Fire, also appeared and ultimately sold over 10 million copies, which was incredible. And you also then were, and you made that successful. Not everybody was able to, but you made that successful transition from a top 40 pop singer to a respected classic rock album artist. That's amazing to be able to tread those waters and make that switch.
Well, we were very lucky, and again, we had radio on our side.
Yeah,
and
that helps big time.
That was huge, and the fans stuck with us. Because we were all kind of growing up together. And so we all went through these phases together. And that's why I feel very close to our audience today, because we grew up together. And then there's the multiple generations, but the original generation that made us successful, I'm very close to, and I feel very plugged into my generation.
In 70, you released the gritty rock and roll traveling album, thought to be by many one of the best works of the band, and contained the gold singles She and Gotta Get Back to You. Mm-hmm. And then you took just a little bit of a break, right?
Well, the Shondells and I sort of parted company right then, because we were all exhausted. I mean, we'd been doing this for 5 years, and if we weren't in the studio, we were on the road. If we were on the road, we were writing, and honestly, it was exhausting. So we just took a break, and we were planning on getting together again, but we just didn't. And so what happened was I just was itching to get back in the studio. I took a year off. We took a year off. They started doing their thing. I started another group called Hog Heaven, and had a couple of nice records. I wanted to get back into the studio, and so I had a solo career at that point. And one of the groups that I was producing, I started producing people. And one of the groups I was producing was a group called Neon. And they became my new backup group on the road. And we sort of went in a little different direction. We had 12 more hits on Roulette up until 1974. And so I was grateful for those, including Draggin' the Line and I'm Coming Home, and several others. And I released uh, several other albums on Roulette. And then finally in 74, late 74, I left Roulette and went out to Fantasy Records out in Berkeley, California, and which is the label that Creedence Clearwater had been on. And so we sort of inherited all the success they had. And I made 2 albums for Fantasy Records, one in Berkeley and one in LA with Jeff Barry, Jeff Barry and Ellie Greenwich, his wife, wrote my first hit, Hanky Panky, and we did an album together. And then I came back to New York in 80 and signed with Millennium Records, which was distributed by RCA. That was Jimmy Einer's label. And we had a #1 record with 3 Times in Love and 3 other chart singles and a chart album. So, we were back in business again, and it was the 1980s, and MTV came along and essentially saved the record business.
Yeah.
And, on and on and on. And all of a sudden, we started getting cover versions of our songs.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Starting with Joan Jett did Crimson and Clover, and there was just a bunch of them. And then Tiffany with I Think We're Alone Now, and Billy
That's
with
right. Yeah.
Billy Idol with Mony. And the odd thing was, I'll never forget, in 1987, I'm on a flight to LA, and my wife turns to me and she's got a Billboard magazine in her hand. She says, "Look at this. Billy Idol just released Mony, and Tiffany released I Think We're Alone Now, the exact same moment. And over the next 7 or 8 weeks, they both went up the charts together like they were holding hands. Literally, one would be, like 1 or 2 numbers away from the other one. And they both then, 7 weeks later, went #1 back to back. That had never happened before.
No.
And, cover versions of the same artist going #1 back to back. That had never happened. And it was really an amazing moment. It was very historic for us. And we started then getting, all kinds of covers. And Morris Levy then at Roulette Records sold Roulette. Morris got arrested for racketeering about that time.
Yeah.
And sold Roulette. And he sold Big 7 Music, the publishing company that went with Roulette. And of course, we had been ripped off awfully badly. I neglected to say that we had been stolen from to the tune of about $40 million.
Yeah.
And so that's why I left Roulette. And so we were suddenly not only getting covers, but we were getting movies and films that they had sold the company to Windswept Pacific Publishers, and suddenly they began getting us movies. And it started with "Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead," and vice versa with Judge Reinhold. And all of a sudden, we started doing films. And then Sony ended up buying Windswept Pacific and all of our publishing. And Warner Brothers bought Roulette. So these 2 monster companies now, who still represent my music, brought us movies and television shows and commercials, and just unbelievable. They rep us in Hollywood. And as a matter of fact, we just got a new movie today.
Did you?
I'm not kidding you. I'm not going to tell the story because the movie hasn't been made yet. But,
but stay tuned for that.
They have brought us over 70 movies
Wow.
And I've been so I've been amazed by all this, and it keeps the music in front of the fans. And we have our own label now, our own record company, internationally distributed. And so we put out music whenever we want to. And a couple of years ago, we put out my first album that we've done in 10 years called Alive, and went
Yes.
top 20 for us. And so I can't believe we're still doing this.
This,
There
I
it is.
encourage everybody to get this. I have it and it's fantastic.
Thank you.
Congratulations on that one,
Thank you.
my friend. That was really, and you mentioned, movies. You could hear the music in Austin Powers, which I think is really amazing.
REM,
Moneyball.
by the way.
Yes,
REM did Draggin the Line and did an incredible version. I
your
play it a
version.
lot on my show because I'm
Yes,
very
that's
proud
right.
of that.
Absolutely. Brad Pitt, Moneyball was another one. Even in Forrest Gump with Tom Hanks, which is incredible. And then also television shows too. Boston Legal, there's Shatner, Candice Bergen, Criminal Minds on CBS, another one, of course. Everybody has always loved that series. And even Breaking Bad season 5. How cool is that to be not only, having the music a part of movies, but also television as well? That's got to be, just it lives on, huh?
Yeah, it really is a great honor, and I'm just flipped out that our music has stayed alive, and we continue to sell product all over the world. And of course, the internet now has been great because we can do things in the studio now and on Pro Tools, which is a big computer basically, and we can push a button and have music all over the world, everything from YouTube to radio stations and everything online, podcasts and everything else. So it really, everything has come full circle, and I've been really very honored that the fans are still with us.
They're still with you. And you did a compilation as well, Rock Party, Tommy James and the Shondells. Tell us about the compilation, which also, again, widely received and loved.
Well, Rock Party was actually our label put it together for a Canadian label, and it was released in
I've got it
Canada.
here. Really
And
good.
when the license was up on that, we decided to release it in the United States. And we've had great response to it. And
Yeah,
also our 40-year package of all of the singles
got
from.
that.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, oh, yeah. This is like,
Yeah, it's a double CD with all of our singles released sequentially.
yeah.
And so all that stuff is fun now. And I'm so glad to have everything out there.
What was it like writing the book for you? Was it cathartic? Was it therapeutic? What was the writing process like for you? And again, it's a real page turner. It's a fabulous memoir, and I encourage folks to get it. Amazon, you can get it. You can check out his website, TommyJames.com. But just taking the time in your busy schedule and really putting it all down on paper, what was that like for you, Tommy?
Well, as you say, cathartic and therapeutic, all that stuff. Plus, it was a lot of fun. This is a topic that I really couldn't talk about. In fact, when we started writing the book, Martin Fitzpatrick, my co-author, and myself, we were going to call it Crimson and Clover, and we were going to write about having hits and about the music and about writing songs and stuff and being in the studio. It would have been fun, but we got about a third of the way into it and realized that if we didn't tell the roulette story, which really was the story, we were cheating ourselves and everybody else. And of course, the roulette story, I was with these guys. I was kind of concerned to write it because a lot of these guys were still walking around. And, it's pretty bad when the only photos you can find of your record company execs were mugshots. That's pretty bad. So
That's tough. Yeah.
so um, so I just decided that we would put it on a shelf for a few years, and I'm glad we did, because eventually we kind of waited around for all of them to pass away, and including the very last one, who died in prison. Uh, his name was Gigante, and, and so he passed away, and so I felt that we could go ahead and write the story, and so we really did, and I really tried to be fair and honest about. I didn't want to over dramatize it, but I didn't want to understate things either. I really wanted to tell it like it happened, and get everybody's name spelled right and everything, and so we took our time and we finished it. And as soon as we finished it, we got the offer from Simon and Schuster to put the book out. It happened immediately, and then we started getting sounded on for the movie rights and for the Broadway rights.
Yeah.
And so the plan is, of course, Barbara DeFina, who produced Goodfellas and Cape Fear, and I'm leaving out a whole bunch of great Casino.
Yes.
Yeah. She looks like a little 5-foot librarian. You'd never in a million years figure she was making mob movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's
Age
incredible.
of Innocence, Silence of the Grifters. Yeah.
Right.
And Michael Jackson's Bad Video.
That's right. So she's been around, and I'm very honored that she's going to produce the film. And and of course, Matthew Stone did the screenplay, and Kathleen Marshall is going to direct. So we're really excited about this, and I'm co-producing, and they're watching it all. The whole team come together is really an amazing thing, because every one of these technical people, you know, the film guys, the people the cameramen, the technical bunch, these guys are all stars in their own right. So it's really tough to get them all assembled at one moment in one place to do your film. It really is an amazing job. So I have great respect for producers and screenplay writers and all these guys. And it looks like it's going to be about another 18 months to 2 years. And that's Hollywood time. And then the plan is that after the film, they want to do a musical.
Wow.
So that's going to be fun. So watching all this come together is really a lot of fun.
It's got to be. And you've got the Sirius XM show. What's that like? Tell us about that for folks who might not know you do that.
Right. Well, this is our 6th year.
Congratulations.
And, thank you. And when Sirius XM came to me originally asking me to do this, I was a little scared, to be quite honest. I didn't know that I could, being a DJ is not an easy job. I've never, as much radio as I've done, I've never worked that side of the microphone before. So, the idea of interviewing people and writing the show, it's 3 hours. It's from 5 to 8 Eastern time every Sunday on Channel 73, which is 60s Gold, it's called. Writing a new show every week is tough. And that's a lot of time to keep talking and to keep making things interesting.
Yeah.
So, but I said, so what do you want me to do? And they said, Tommy, do anything you want. And I said, well, that's too much power. I said, can I go to jail for that? An artist with his own show, playing his own records, there's something really kinky about that. I don't know. It seems like the FBI may be going to your door. So. But at any rate, that's what he said. Tommy, play anything you want. So I keep it within the 60s, of course. And every now and then I dribble over into the 70s and back into the 50s a little, because that's all music I love. But they have just let me do anything I want to do. God bless them. And the Sirius XM people are just great folks. And I mean, I think it's the coolest job in the world. I think it's maybe the coolest job I ever had. And I really love doing it. And I love the folks up at Sirius.
They're terrific.
And you walk down the hall, you walk down the hall that's Sirius. You never know who you're going to run into.
You don't know who you're running into.
I met Bill Shatner up there. I met, boxers and other artists and sports people, and you never know who you're going to run into. So it's an amazing place. They ought to do a documentary on it someday.
Absolutely. I have some friends that program some of the channels there, and it's really extraordinary. What else do you have coming up for folks who they can't get enough of the music?
Well, we're touring right now.
Yeah.
And basically I only can do the weekends because I'm doing so many other things, but we're all over the country. If you want to come to my website, it's just TommyJames.com and see where we're playing. Maybe we're coming to your town. And also we're on Facebook. It's just Tommy James and the Shondells. Twitter, Instagram. We are all over social media. So please come and hang with us.
It's cool stuff. We'll definitely have you back. And, as the Broadway and the movie and everything comes out, I'd love to keep the porch light on for you. You're welcome back here anytime, my friend. And it's so awesome catching up with you since, we were in the TV studio, public television. When you look at all of this, it's extraordinary. It really is. And I mentioned you are an American treasure. You're a musical treasure on so many different levels, and all the people around you, the other members of the band and the crews and the people you have even there in the room with you, helping you and assisting. It takes a village, as we always know. What are some of those additional, when you look at this body of work, blessings and joys in your life, Tommy, that keep you doing this for the good and entertainment of all of us?
Well, first, I'd just like to say that I really believe God has blessed me, and He's an important part of my life. And the good Lord has looked out for me my whole life and has honestly been there for me. I can't tell you how many times. One of these days, I'm going to ask Him what He had in mind when He got me with roulette. That's what I want. Because, but you look even at that, because I got blessed being at roulette. I really did. I mean, I have such mixed feelings about it, because if it wasn't for Morris Levy, there wouldn't have been a Tommy James.
Say,
at least not the one we know and love.
Not this one.
So, stuff like that. And I am proudest of, as I said before, the relationship with the fans.
Yeah.
That really is what I'm proudest of. And just how they've always been there for us and for me. And I've been blessed multiple times, like you can't believe, throughout my life. And it's still happening.
It's still happening. Absolutely right. Anything you haven't done yet that's still on that bucket list?
I want to drive a fire truck. No, that's one of my childhood ambitions. But I want to do the siren. You know what I mean?
You want to?
There's lots of stuff. Honestly, I think I'd like to maybe write a play.
That would be cool.
In fact, I have one that I'm working on right now.
Yeah.
Called Wise Guys on Walkers. And it's a story I'm writing right now, and we're going to see where that goes. I don't know. There's a bunch of things, but mainly I just would like to be able to play rock and roll and keep doing what I'm doing until I can't, till they take me off stage with a hook.
Yeah. What would you say to somebody who's watching an iconic figure like you and saying, "How do I get to do that?" The music industry, the recording industry has
Yeah.
changed so greatly now.
I have been asked that question many, many times by young bands. And strangely enough, the best advice I can give, practical advice about the music, is to write a dozen songs, demo them, record them, and take them not to a record company, but to a publishing company. There's so many great ones around, and publishers will open doors for you that record companies won't. Record companies now are sort of in a survival mode, as is most radio, and they are not investing the money in new groups. They're not, training new acts to be famous. They want you to do the work. They want you to bring all of your followers on social media and give it to them. The publishing company, on the other hand, the meaning of music publishing is that they own the copyrights, they own the music. And so be prepared to negotiate either 50% ownership to a publishing company or even 100%. You just be the writers. That way you have clout you wouldn't have had any other way. A publishing company getting behind you can open doors and do things for you nobody else can do in music. Movies, commercials, you name it, and take you to a label. So my suggestion is to demo your music, take it to a publishing company. There's lots of them around, New York, LA, Nashville, Chicago, every major city. Go online and find a music publishing company that's big enough to take you somewhere, but small enough so that they'll listen to you and you can get FaceTime with them. That's my advice.
Cool stuff.
Stick with it.
And stick with it as you have all these years, over 50 plus years. And we're so glad that you did and still do, Tommy. This was really extraordinary, and I really appreciate all the time and your wit and your wisdom. We thank you for all the music and everything that comes along with it. I encourage folks to get the material, get the book, keep an eye out for the movies, the Broadway musical, and everything else. And you are, again, welcome back here at the Jim Master Show. Anytime. We'll keep the door open for you. And I hope you enjoyed the time with me as much as I absolutely have with you, Tommy.
I sure did. And you let me ramble on, and thank you so much.
You're really a treasure in music and beyond, my friend. And good luck with everything going forward. Best of health, best of everything. And let's stay in touch. We'd love to have you back at some point. Okay.
We'll do it. God bless you, Jim. Take care. Good luck.
You as well. Good seeing you again, my friend. You take care.
Thank you.
Cheers. The incomparable Tommy James here on the Jim Masters Show, entertainment, lifestyle, celebrity talk show series. Really, as I told you in the beginning, a cool guy, approachable, authentic, fun, open, real. And I think that's one of the reasons, in addition to all the great music and the sounds and the melodies and, the whole bit, the lyrics, it's the guy himself. And he surrounded himself with phenomenal people who also believe in his music and his voice and his ideas. And people feel good when they see Tommy performing, when they pull out the albums and the CDs, or when they download now and they listen to this material. It's really amazing. We're talking about over 5, almost 6 decades of music, which is incredible. I love when I get a chance to chat with folks who love what they do. They're passionate about it. And then they want to tell the story. And then they want to inspire other people as they're doing what they love. They finely tune their craft, and, they take risks, and they have different things that they do that they learn from. Like he mentioned that whole story with roulette, which is fascinating. And again, all that documented in the book. I'm so honored to have my copy. Make sure you get your copy. It is on Amazon. His website, TommyJames.com, is rich with great background information about him and the Shondells and a lot of cool things that he's done and continues to do. Of course, tour dates. He's, after you do something well over 50 plus years, a lot of people then move to South Florida and they have their feet in the sand and they're drinking the banana colada and they say, you know what, I'm good. I've done it. I've done my thing. But he still wants to be out there performing and entertaining and inspiring all of us. And he does it in such an incredible way. Tommy James of Tommy James and the Shondells joining us here on the Jim Masters Show series. Gang, if you enjoyed this episode, give us a thumbs up, like on our YouTube channel, of course. Leave a comment, interact with us. You guys know I'm very interactive. We really appreciate all the time and attention. And again, if you don't have these in your collection, or you do, pull them out, give them another listen. Get them all online. All the music these days, you can get everything online now. We were just showing you, this is just some of the music, of course. There's so much more. There is the book as well. Make sure you get that. And yeah, now when you see these movies, or maybe take a look at these different TV shows, on DVD and everywhere else, I am sure, well, now listen for the music, right? Again, I got a chance to meet him and interviewed him several times on public television on PBS. Just a fantastic guy. And I was so excited. He was on my list of people that I was hoping, we've had some incredible people that have come through here, Melissa Manchester and you just name it. They've been here. Florence LaRue, and of course, Felix Calvier from the Rascals has been here. Andy Cahill from the Turtles has been here. You name it, Marion Ross from Happy Days. But I really was hoping that Tommy would stop by. And when he found out that opportunity was there, he jumped right on and said, sure, let me know when, Jim. And here he is. Don't forget, you can catch him on Sirius XM channel 73 as well. 60s Gold. He's keeping the music alive. And speaking of alive, don't forget to get this. Don't forget to also get Rock Party. And again, we really loved having him here on the Jim Masters Show, going back in time with great memories, but also talking about some other cool things over the years as well. And really, he's a gem of a guy and a real treasure. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. This was really a fantastic episode. TommyJames.com is the website. That's where you can learn about everything Tommy James and the Shondells. And again, we really appreciate him joining us here on the show. This is Jim Masters. We don't say here at the Jim Masters Show goodbye. We say see you later. Ciao, cheers, sayonara, avida zane. Take care, Mari Loop. Cheerio, be well, and take care of one another. Don't forget to love one another and be good to one another. And bring out some good music like Tommy James and the Shondells. Give this episode a like. Leave a comment for us, gang. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Jim Masters TV. That's where all of these episodes, almost 1,000 episodes of our series, are housed. Cool stuff. Thanks once again to Tommy James. Thanks to all of you for your love and support for what we're doing here. It's unique. We don't call these interviews. We call these conversations on the Jim Masters Show. We appreciate you being with us. Take care and be well. If you want to binge watch, there are well over, again, 900 plus episodes that you can enjoy of our iconic series. And again, we thank you for being with us on all the episodes. You always learn something new. You're always entertained. We always have a good time on the Jim Masters Show series. So for all of us here, I am your host, Jim Masters, thanking you for your time this time. Till next time, we appreciate you being with us. Spread the word about our show. It really does take a village. We continue to grow and expand with you, supporting, sharing, watching. We'll expand even further and we'll have more great guests for you. I am your host, Jim Masters. We love you all. Take care and be well. And thanks for joining us on this episode of the Jim Masters Show. Thanks for all the great comments. We love all the interaction happening in the JMS Levity Hall chat room. Appreciate all of that. And don't forget, you can always leave a comment right on our channel, the YouTube channel as well. We love you all. Take care. Be well. Thanks for watching this episode of the Jim Masters Show live series. Cheers.